Hello guys! In this video, I want to help you to pass the last 5 new challenges. If you're watching my guide for the first 5 challenges, you know that I passed them without any equipment. But I was using tech parts, and in comments of that video I was told that to pass these challenges without tech parts is almost impossible. So guys, besides helping you to pass the last 5 new challenges, let's check if it's possible to pass them without equipment and tech parts. To survive the all waves of zombies from weapon skills, you need defender, fuel barrel and force bar here. Other skills must be best skills against bosses like whistle arrow. Even with shuriken, you may have problems with bosses. From supply skills, besides EU for your weapon skills, you will need fuel. Fuel will help you to survive waves. In the first minutes, you just need to choose the right skills and focus on Guardian and Force Field. Also, Wood Brigade if you'll get Ninja Skull and will make it 2-3 stars. As a result, during battle, you will gain more skills. To defeat the first boss without equipments and tech parts will be kinda hard. The best strategy is to circle around him, and you'll defeat him even with bad skills. It's only a matter of time. In the next minutes, we'll have enemies that shoot projectiles which you cannot vanish, which you cannot block. Very useful will be defender here, so you'll have more space around you and it will be easier to avoid these projectiles. In these minutes, you need to prepare yourself for the fight with the next bosses, so you need shuriken, because bosses will not be easy to defeat. The best strategy to defeat these two bosses, I would say to survive, is to move up and down and closer to side walls. As a result, it will be easier to avoid bosses, bullets, only problems you will have with phones. To beat these two bosses without skills, without tech parts, took me 1.5 minutes. The next minutes, if you chose the right skills, should not be a problem for you. Just look how easy to survive for me with skills I told you. The final bosses from one side are tougher, but from another side are easier to defeat. Just circle around them. Wood Brigade if you'll have S boots or at least prosthetic legs, because with low movement speed it will be harder to avoid projectiles. Anyway guys, as you can see, even with low movement speed, it is possible to pass this challenge to defeat the final bosses. Do you need any equipment for this challenge? No guys. Do you need any tech parts? No. To pass the challenge, you just need the right skills. As you can see again, I'm not using any equipments and any tech parts. For the next challenge, I'm not using any equipments and any tech parts again. To pass this challenge, you need almost the same skills. Honestly speaking guys, for all challenges, we'll use Guardian, Force Field and Molotov. In all cases, you need to make Defender, Force Bar here. Only Fuel Barrel is not so needed. Anyway guys, for all these challenges, you will need Molotov. In this challenge, as you can see, besides surviving defeating bosses, you will need to protect 2 bases. At first, I thought it's impossible to pass this challenge without equipments, especially with kunai, but I found a trick which will recover bases' health. This trick I will show you a little later. Okay guys, besides our needed skills, you need best skills against bosses. And from supply skills, Power Bullet with fuel will definitely help you to protect your bases. From the first minutes, focus more on Guardian, and very useful will be Ninja Skull if you'll get it at the beginning. Try to make it 2-3 stars. Also, Wood Brigade if you'll make Shuriken. Believe me, it will be easier not only to defeat bosses, but to survive waves. The first boss is so easy to defeat that I have nothing to say here. It literally took me a few seconds, less than 5 seconds. The next minutes will be, as for me, the hardest ones. Try to make Defender and Force Barrier as fast as you can guys. Also focus on Fuel and Power Bullet. And Wood Brigade to have Molotov high star. To better protect your bases, move from one to another base. As a result, both of them will have around the same amount of health. Very hard will be the fight with the next bosses. To defeat them faster, besides Shuriken, you need Power Bullet high star. If you have problems with surviving, then choose Ruin Suit. I didn't have much problems with surviving, so I didn't choose this skill. As you can see guys, after this fight, my bases were almost destroyed. I thought I would lose again, but fortunately for me and fortunately for you, my game froze. At first, I was really mad because I was losing and this happened. But when I restarted the game, I continued playing and look what happened. Base's health is full again. I was so happy guys, I was so happy to see that. So now you know what to do to restore your base's health. The last minutes will not be a problem to survive to protect your bases. Focus on power bullet and best skills against bosses. The final boss will be hard to defeat, but only a little. If it will be hard to survive for you, as I told you, choose Ronin suit. As you can see guys, another challenge is passed without equipments and even tech parts. Yeah, it was not really easy, but if you use equipments and tech parts, it definitely will be easier for you. Anyway, it's possible to do that even without them. To pass the next challenge, I will not use any equipments, any tech parts again. To pass this challenge will be even easier than the previous one. From weapon skills, choose the same skills to survive waves, and focus and R skills must be best skills against bosses. Supply skills are the same. From the first minutes, focus more on Guardian, try to make Defender as fast as you can, because we have enemies that shoots bullets. So in the first minutes, focus on Guardian and choose the right skills. The first boss will be very easy to defeat, especially if you have cooldown at least 4 stars. It took me less than 30 seconds to defeat this boss. Next minutes might be kinda hard for you at the beginning if you will not have Guardian at least 4 stars. When you'll make Defender, to survive these minutes will be a piece of cake. In these minutes, make Shuriken because the next bosses will be little hard to defeat. But if you'll make it, it will take you less than 30 seconds to defeat them. The last minutes with skills I told you will be very easy to survive. I have nothing to say here, you see everything by yourself. Only problems as for me guys you may have with the final bosses. If it's hard for you to survive, choose Ronin suit. In our case for this challenge instead of oil bond. Anyway guys, if you're using equipments and tech parts, it should not be a problem for you. As you can see, another challenge, the third challenge in our case, is passed without equipments and tech parts. As you can see, I was not using them. What I'm not going to do for the next challenge, challenge 9. At first, I thought that I should equip something because in my first try I could not survive the last minutes. But it was just a skill issue, I didn't have the right skills. So this time, beside our needed skills, our needed weapon skills against mobs, we need more skills that will help you to deal with them. We don't need skills best against bosses here. I recommend you to go with RPG and Durian. With fuel, you'll be able to make Sharkmo and Caltraps. Supply skills must be the same as for previous challenge. Here for your weapon skills, fuel and power bullet. From the first minutes, focus more on Guardian and Force Field. The first boss will be very easy to defeat. Honestly speaking, all bosses are very easy to defeat here. In the next minutes, focus on the same skills, try to evolve them as fast as you can. And besides that, as you can see, we have Toxic Pulse, so would brigade if you'll have Molotov at least 4 stars. As you know, fire vanishes poison. When you'll make Guardian Force Barrier, these minutes will be a piece of cake. From this point, focus more on power bullet and fuel. As I told you, bosses are not problem here. To easily defeat these two bosses, just circle around them. To survive the last minutes, at first will not be a big problem, but believe me, you need to try to maximize them. Because the last 40 seconds will be the hardest ones. And you guys with the right skills, without equipments and tech parts, somehow it was possible to survive them. To defeat the final bosses will take you some time, but it's not really hard to survive. To easily survive, stay below or above them. As a result, it will be a way easier to avoid bullets. tough bosses with a great amount of health, but as you can see guys, again, without defeated, without equipments and tech parts. So if you'll use them, for you, it will be a way easier. It's probably the only challenge where I don't recommend you to use kunai. Better use the Sword of Disorder or Light Chaser or Void Power, or at least Baseball Bat. And here we go guys, the last challenge for which I had to use some equipments. Guys, I tried many times, I wasted almost all my life coins. That's the minimum what you need to pass this challenge. You need excellent kunai. Necklace can be metal neck guard or trendy charm. Gloves are army gloves because we'll need to defeat bosses very fast. That's all what you need from equipments. Tech parts are not needed. But to easily pass this challenge, use best what you have. From weapon skills, you need to make Defender and Force Barrier, especially Force Barrier. Make it as fast as you can. Focus on these skills from the first minute. We'll need Molotov, but we're not going to make Fuel Barrel. Instead of Oil Bound, we'll choose Ruin Suit. This skill we'll need for the fight with the final bosses. To easily protect your bases, you'll need Fuel for sure, and Power Bullet. Power Bullet will also help you to defeat bosses faster. So guys, from the first minutes, choose the right skills and focus more on Force Field and Guardian. Try to make Force Barrier as fast as you can. Very useful will be Ninja Skull if you'll get it from the first minutes. As a result, you'll gain more skills and gain them faster. The first boss will be very easy to defeat, but keep him from bases because he can do damage. I mean damage to bases, so always try to keep bosses away from them. Next minutes will be the hardest ones because you need to protect your bases, you will need to survive, but if you'll make Defender, if you'll make Force Barrier, these minutes will not be so hard. Besides that, you will need to make Shuriken and focus on Fuel with Power Bullet. Yeah, you should be real lucky with skills, otherwise most likely you will lose. To restore bases health, we'll do the same trick as for challenge 7. You'll be able to do this trick up to 3 times, then you'll not be able to continue the battle. To easily defeat these bosses and to receive less damage to your bases, circle around them closer to walls. Faster you'll kill them, then less damage your bases will receive. The last minutes might be hard at the beginning. Try to maximize your skills, focus more on Power Bullet, on Fuel. Later it will be a little harder to survive, especially when you'll have the less elite. But when you'll defeat him, the problem will disappear. Before fighting with the final bosses, do the same trick to restore bases health. When you'll be fighting with bosses, keep them further from bases. Go wherever you can to receive less damage, to catch less bullets. Without Ruin Suit, it's almost impossible to defeat them, to survive during this fight. I mean if you have low quality equipment. But as you can see guys, it's possible to pass the challenge without tech parts, only thing you need a few equipments. Now, try to tell me that without tech parts, it's impossible to pass these challenges. Okay guys, as always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe my channel if you haven't done it yet.
Game over.